You have been lied to about the exact foods destroying your kidneys right now. Your doctor probably handed you a generic sheet of paper, told you to stop eating dairy, and sent you home to suffer through a bland, miserable diet. But giving up the foods you love completely is the fastest way to experience dietary burnout, which actually leads to worse binge eating later on. The absolute most painful truth about chronic kidney disease is that the restrictions often feel worse than the symptoms themselves. You are terrified of toxins building up in your blood, but you are also desperately craving a normal slice of pizza or a simple creamy sandwich. I am going to reveal exactly how you can still eat cheese without causing irreversible damage to your delicate kidney filters, but you need to pay very close attention. At the end of this video, I am going to expose one specific cheese eating technique that completely changes how your body absorbs toxins, and it is a trick that almost nobody talks about, and this is where most people fail entirely. They assume all cheese is created equal. They walk into the grocery store, see 100 different blocks and slices, and guess which one is safe. That guessing game is permanently destroying your renal function. Let us break down the absolute best and worst options, starting with the safest category you can eat right now. We call these the high-moisture fresh cheeses. When you think of fresh cheese, imagine foods like authentic ricotta, high-quality cottage cheese, and fresh mozzarella balls. These are not aged for months in a dark cellar. They are made quickly and retain a massive amount of water in their structure. But here is the detail your doctor forgot to mention. That high water content is your ultimate secret weapon. Water physically dilutes the concentration of both sodium and phosphorus in every single bite. Phosphorus is the ultimate invisible enemy for anyone with compromised kidneys. When your kidneys are failing, they simply cannot filter out excess dietary phosphorus. It builds up in your bloodlines with free calcium and literally turns your flexible blood vessels into rigid, calcified pipes. It causes severe, deep bone pain and unbearable skin itching that keeps you awake all night. But fresh, high-moisture cheeses have a naturally lower phosphorus footprint. Take ricotta, for example. Because it is essentially made from the whey left over from other cheeses, its protein structure is incredibly gentle on your renal system. You get the rich, creamy satisfaction of eating dairy without the heavy metabolic tax. But do not make this next fatal mistake. Even though fresh cheeses are biologically safer, you cannot buy just any tub off the supermarket shelf. Many commercial brands sneak in hidden sodium to extend shelf life artificially. You must read the label and look for sodium levels strictly under 150 milligrams per serving. I had a client named Robert who was struggling rapidly with his glomerular filtration rate. He loved eating heavy baked ziti loaded with aged cheeses. We swapped his heavy aged cheeses for a high-quality low-sodium ricotta mixed with fresh garlic and herbs. His craving for rich foods was completely satisfied, but his blood work finally stabilized. And this brings us to a massive realization. You do not have to starve to survive. You just need superior biological strategy. Let us move to the second category, which is the meltable middle ground. We are talking about semi-soft natural cheeses like real Swiss Gouda and certain natural types of provolone. These cheeses have had more moisture pressed out of them, which means their nutrients and, unfortunately, their toxins are slightly more concentrated. But there is a massive hidden benefit here if you know exactly what to look for. Authentic Swiss cheese, for instance, is naturally extremely low in sodium. In the traditional cheese-making process, the specific bacteria that create the famous holes in Swiss cheese actually require a low-salt environment to survive and ferment. This biological quirk means Swiss cheese is fundamentally safer for your blood pressure than almost any other sliced cheese on earth. High blood pressure is an absolute bulldozer to your kidneys. The tiny microscopic blood vessels inside your kidneys called nephrons are incredibly fragile. When your blood pressure spikes from eating too much dietary salt, those nephrons are blasted with high pressure flow and they scar over permanently. Once a nephron scars, it is dead forever. You cannot regenerate it. So finding a cheese like Natural Swiss that keeps your blood pressure completely stable is a massive physiological victory. But hold on, Because here is the trap most patients fall into, and it is devastating. They think because natural Swiss is safe, they can eat processed deli slices that look like Swiss. Processed cheese slices are a literal chemical wasteland. Manufacturers inject them with artificial inorganic phosphate additives to make them melt perfectly on a hot sandwich. Inorganic phosphorus is completely different from natural organic phosphorus. Your body absorbs almost 100% of inorganic phosphorus directly into the bloodstream within a matter of minutes. It is basically a direct mainline injection of kidney poison. If the ingredient list on the back of the package says hexametaphosphate or anything containing the letters PHOS, you must drop it immediately and walk away. This is exactly why you must demand natural block cheeses instead of pre-packaged individual plastic-wrapped slices. Let us transition to the third category, which is where the real danger lies. The aged hard cheeses. I am talking about sharp-aged cheddar, authentic Parmesan Pecorino, and Romano. These are the absolute flavor bombs of the culinary world. They taste incredible because they have been aging for months or even years. During that intensive aging process, almost all the moisture evaporates out of the cheese wheel. What is left behind is a highly concentrated, dense brick of protein salt and massive, overwhelming amounts of phosphorus. A single ounce of aged Parmesan contains a staggering amount of sodium and phosphorus that will literally force your failing kidneys into overdrive for days. Imagine your kidneys as a delicate coffee filter. If you pour a gentle stream of clean water through it, the filter works perfectly and lasts for years. But if you dump a heavy bucket of thick, muddy sludge into that filter, it clogs tears and fails completely. Hard-aged cheeses are that muddy, toxic sludge. When you consume them in large chunks, you are overwhelming your body with heavy elements. It simply cannot process anymore. I once worked with a woman named Sarah who could not understand why her chronic kidney disease was progressing so rapidly toward dialysis. She was eating a massive green salad every single day, thinking she was being the healthiest person in the room. But she was aggressively grating thick blocks of sharp cheddar and aged Parmesan all over those salads to make them taste better. Her parathyroid hormone was off the charts. When phosphorus spikes, your blood calcium drops. Your parathyroid glands panic and steal calcium from your own bones to balance the blood. This leaves your bones brittle and your arteries hard. The moment we eliminated the hard cheeses from Sarah's daily salads, her severe joint pain stopped and her extreme fatigue began to lift. But does this mean you can never ever experience the taste of Parmesan again? Not entirely. And this is a crucial psychological distinction. Because hard cheeses are so incredibly pungent and flavorful, you can actually use them as a strong spice rather than a main ingredient. A microscopic dusting of authentic Parmigiano Reggiano on top of a kidney-safe vegetable dish gives you the exact mental satisfaction of eating cheese without the massive toxic load. It is entirely about tricking your brain into feeling indulged while aggressively protecting your internal organs. Now we absolutely must discuss the biggest deception in the modern health food industry today: plant-based and vegan cheeses. So many newly diagnosed kidney patients hear they need to eat a plant-based diet, and they immediately rush to the vegan aisle in the grocery store. They see dairy-free vegan cheese and assume it is a magical, healthy cure. But this is the exact moment things go horribly wrong for your renal health. Vegan cheese is not a natural health food. It is a highly ultra-processed chemical imitation. To make nuts or soy mimic the exact stretching texture of real dairy cheese manufacturers, load these fake products with ungodly amounts of sodium-refined starches and, worst of all, hidden chemical phosphate additives. Furthermore, most commercial vegan cheeses are bound together using heavily refined coconut oil. Coconut oil is almost entirely pure saturated fat. Kidney disease and heart disease are intimately linked. If your kidneys are failing, your heart is already working double time to pump blood through damaged filters. Flooding your cardiovascular system with highly processed saturated fat from fake vegan cheese is a guaranteed recipe for a heart attack. You are trying to save your kidneys, but you might accidentally destroy your heart in the process. I have seen countless patients switch to vegan cheese thinking they were being good, only to watch their blood pressure and bad cholesterol absolutely skyrocket at their next lab visit. Do not let the trendy word vegan trick you into eating a toxic corporate science experiment. If you are going to eat plant-based, you are infinitely better off making a simple homemade cashew cream using raw, unsalted cashews soaked in water overnight, blended with a tiny dash of nutritional yeast. That simple homemade method gives you total, absolute control over the sodium and the phosphorus entering your body. So let us recap the critical survival hierarchy before I reveal the final vital secret that ties this all together. High-moisture fresh cheeses like ricotta and cottage cheese are your safest daily option provided you strictly check the sodium levels. Semi-soft natural cheeses like Swiss are excellent for occasional slices because of their inherently low salt content and natural production. Hard-aged cheeses must be restricted to microscopic garnishes used only for aroma and flavor. And highly processed vegan cheeses should be treated exactly like toxic waste. But here is the ultimate secret I promised you at the very beginning of this video. The exact timing and combination of how you eat your safe cheese changes your biology entirely. When you do decide to eat a small piece of safe natural Swiss or fresh mozzarella, never ever eat it entirely alone on an empty stomach. Always consume it alongside a dense, high-fiber food like raw, crunchy vegetables or a fresh, crisp apple. Why? Because dense dietary fiber acts exactly like a physical sponge inside your digestive tract. When you eat heavy fiber at the exact same time as your cheese, the fiber biologically binds to a significant portion of the naturally occurring phosphorus and fat directly in your stomach and intestines. It actually drags those elements out of your body through your stool before they ever have the chance to absorb into your fragile bloodstream. This phenomenon is called the binder effect. By simply pairing your safe cheese slice with a handful of fresh, crunchy bell peppers or celery, you are actively and physically blocking toxins from ever hitting your damaged kidney filters. You get the incredible taste, you get the psychological joy of eating dairy, but you significantly reduce the physiological damage to your organs. Food is not just calories and empty macros. It is biological data. It is chemical instruction. Every single bite you take is either giving your delicate kidneys a much-needed break, or it is forcing them into a brutal, exhausting boxing match they cannot win. You do not have to live in constant, paralyzing fear of your food. You just need the elite knowledge to manipulate it in your absolute favor. When you make these exact specific cheese swaps, you will physically stop the skin itching, you will actively protect your remaining nephrons, and you will aggressively take your life back from this terrifying disease. Start applying this exact framework to your meals today and watch exactly how your body responds when it finally gets the metabolic relief it has been desperately begging for.